So this is an upgrade from my Explorer 1000. The 1000 Plus actually gets you 2000 watts of output. So I went ahead and charged it up fully. So here has a light with the different modes. Now they got to put that SOS on there. USB-A, USB-C's, got a couple of each. And turn those on. And then my favorite, the AC 2000 watt output. That's right, 2000 watts. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got my hot plate here. Probably my most high volt thing in this kitchen. It's awfully cold outside, so that's why I'm in here. And I'm going to crank this thing out. Boop, there it goes. You can see it's pulling almost 1300 watts. And it could run like this, it says, for 1.2 hours. 1 hour. So that would be cooking for a long time. I don't think we're going to have to cook that long. On the back side of the power station is all your inputs. So here's the electric, the way I charge it. It does have DC inputs, and you can connect an extra battery. So that's a big plus. But my favorite part, I know it's not very technical, but my very favorite part about this Jackery has to be the handle. So if you don't know, sometimes these are kind of hard to move around, but it's kind of like a big lunchbox. So that handle makes a lot of difference, makes it easier to carry, folds flat. But there it is, the Jackery Explorer 1000 Plus.
This is one of the most convenient devices that I have bought in the last forever. This is rated as a sustained 300 watts. It can surge up to 600. You end up with the capacity of 256 watt hours. As you're looking through different devices, you will find out that bang for your buck, this is pretty nice, and it comes from a great company. So I keep this in my car most of the time. And when I keep it in the car, that means I am charging it from my car's main starting battery. And it does a great job. It will charge at about 100 watts. It's 90 to 100 off of my 12-volt battery in the car. Right now I'm running a portable refrigerator, and it shows the output as being about 35 watts. It tells you in the middle what your percentage is of the battery left, and that is 88%, as you can see, and then it gives you an estimated time of how long at this particular load that this EcoFlow will last, and that's 4 hours. If it was plugged into the car and charging, then it would show you the input wattage. If you are in the house and just want to charge it up for standby, say for emergencies, power outages, things like that, you can charge this in a wall outlet at about 300 watts, which is 3 times the capacity that you can get by plugging it in the car. So it charges under an hour, or right at an hour, if it was fully depleted. So that is incredible as far as I'm concerned. You get the DC, which is like your cars. We used to call them cigarette lighters, but they're power sockets. You have the 2 USB-A, which is a regular old style USB device, which there's still so much out there. And then it has the future, which is on a lot of products, the USB-C. And this USB-C puts out a lot of charging ability. I think these are somewhere around 30. This thing will throw out like 60 watts of charging. It's something ridiculously nice to have if you're running and want to charge up your laptop or your phones or whatever the case may be. And then you have the regular 60 hertz, 110, 120, however you decide to think about. These are comparable to a power outlet in your house. And as long as you got a device that doesn't start up and surge past 600 and only needs about 300 to run, you can run it off of this. A lot of devices, you'll be surprised at how it doesn't need that much. If you take a regular, just say a laptop charger, you're looking at about 60 watts. And so if you have 254 watt hours on the back of this, and I think that was 256 watt hours, and then you're taking a laptop charger and you're using 60, you take 256 and divide it by the 60, and that gives you, your amount of time that you can fully charge or recharge or whatever the device that you're using. This thing does come with an app, so you can do all kinds of things with the app. You can change how it turns off, how it manages. You can see what the history and stuff like that is on it. I highly recommend this. It's very, very light. You could basically stick it in a backpack if you wanted to and go camping with it. It has the same plug-in on the back, that yellow one, that you use in your car. You can get a solar panel and it will plug straight into that, and you don't need a converter, you don't need an adapter. You just get a solar panel that has that particular connection on it, and this thing will take the solar energy and charge it on the go, or you can be sitting beside a river for a long time, fishing, recharging this thing, keeping in touch with your friends on your phone or whatever you need to use your power for. So the app is nice, the device is simple, it's amazing, and it's worked really well. Look at the EcoFlow River 2.
This is the Dabbsson Portable Power Station DBS1300, a great power solution for travel, home backup, and emergencies. Equipped with 5 2200 watt pure sine wave AC outlets, boosting to 3000 watts with P-Boost, and 3 USB-C ports with up to 100 watt max, the DBS2300 provides stable power for 99% of home devices, from phones and laptops to refrigerators. Safety is redefined with industry-leading EV semi-solid-state LiFePO4 batteries, offering 4 times higher thermal stability compared to traditional batteries. With over 4,500 charge cycles before reaching 80% capacity, this power station is built to last nearly 15 years of regular use. Easily expand the 2330 watt-hours capacity to a massive 8330 watt-hours by linking 2 extra batteries, keeping your home powered during extended outages. Rapidly recharge the DBS2300 to 98% in just 1.5 hours, or utilize up to 3000 watts solar input for green energy on the go. With a 15 millisecond auto switch, you'll never notice a power loss, making the DBS2300 the perfect emergency power supply. Starting with the AC60, this is a 600 watt pure sine wave inverter that can output up to 600 watts on a continuous basis. You have DC and AC outputs. This is your AC outputs. These are your DC outputs. Over here on the side, this is your solar input, and that runs at 12 volts. All the way up to 28 volts at 8 amps. That's your max of input that you could put on solar. So that 200 watt solar panel right up there is a perfect match for the AC60. This is IP65 rated, so you can get it wet. You can get it in a dust environment, and you'll be safe to use it. It is expandable with expandable batteries, and here's the 2 ports for that. So you could spray water right into that port right there. And even on this port right there, and you're going to be completely fine. And there is a light on the back that you could turn on by hitting that button there, and you have different settings that you can set it to. So you could have it off. This is like medium. This is really bright. And then you have the SOS. It does have a charging output on the top of the unit at 15 watts. You have one of those, so you can set your phone up there and get it charged up without having to plug it in. That makes it easy to pack around. This is fairly light, weighing in right at 21 pounds. And I should mention that this does have 403 watt-hours of battery capacity and is expandable up to like 2,000 watt-hours. And on the higher quality power stations, you'll see that these are kind of like a silicone type of foot. So it keeps it from sliding around. So if I turn this around, I can kind of just push this around. I can even lift the table in an angle. So we got a pretty good angle there, and it's not sliding off this really slick table. It doesn't slide off. So that's a good plus to have those type of feet, because if you put this on a tailgate, say on a board or something to make everything flat, and you're sitting on a hill on a slope, that's not going to slide around and just fall off the tailgate real easy. So I like that they did that. And something else you don't see on a lot of these smaller power stations is this dedicated ground. So I love that they put this in there on even the smaller power stations. And a lot of the other companies do not offer that. With these covers that are on these electrical sockets, this can get wet at IP65. Now, you cannot submerge this into water, but you can spray water directly into these ports and all over this unit, as long as you have these covers back in place like they're supposed to be, and these right here as well, and you're never going to damage the unit. I'm going to take this outside and show you that I'm not scared to put water on it, because this has got the same build as the 240, and I've let this sit out in the rain to spray this probably a good 24 times and never had any problems out of it. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. And another good example is that you could use this on a construction zone, say like in the mud here, and if it gets dirty, and let's get it all up on there real good. Even down here on these sides, like this right here. Let's show you what that looks like. Alright, so we got that nice and muddy, and this is a good example of what it might look like on a construction zone like this. Now, I've brought other tools that I've got muddier than this, back here working in this area. So, get it muddy, what do you want to do? You want to clean it off, right? And we have it all up in there. I mean, I pushed it up into the sides and up into that side and got it all over it. So this is not just something I dumped on it and there's no mud on it. This is actually muddy. So let's clear it off. And you can see that it's setting in the mud, so the bottom is getting muddy as I clean the top. I'm just trying to give a good example of what IP65 lading means on these power stations. And Buetti is the first, if not the only, one that I know of that offers this type of protection from the weather. And this right here is a pretty big test for such a small power station, but it is 600 watts. And I think this thing runs around 630 watts or something like that. So let's plug it in, see what happens. So 707 watts. This might not last very long, but it's definitely going over the wattage. Now you can turn the mode on, the power lift mode for this, and it would work great. I wouldn't recommend turning it on for other appliances, but being that this is a heating element and it doesn't have a big conductive load, it's coming like a motor, then I think you would be able to turn this on and it would last longer. But I want to actually see how long this will run this at 700 watts, even though this is rated at 600 watts. That's pretty awesome. I thought that would be kicking off by now. Oh, there it is, overload. So this can run up over 600 watts for a little bit of time, but you will get the overload error that lets you know shouldn't be running it like that because the inverter's not made to go 700 watts. It's made for 600 watts. And on all the Blueheady power stations that I've used, the way that you would reset the overload is you hold in the power button, turn it completely off, turn it back on, and everything will be reset. So that's crazy that it only runs at 580 watts on power lift mode. But when you take it off power lift mode, it goes to 700 watts. Whatever, however that's working is completely fine with me because it will power this now through probably 0% without kicking off. The main point here is that this can run a cooker like this. Now, being that we got a 400, around 400 watt capacity on the battery, so I'm going to run it for very long. But it can do the output of over 600 watts on this in power lift mode. And out of power lift mode, it could do 700 watts for, what was it, probably a minute and a half. And everything's going to work fine for you. If you needed more capacity, you can always expand it with the expandable batteries. And this power station is super quiet. When I stop talking, look at the number that's on the sound meter, and it's going to be right around 35 to 38 decibels. This is a really cool power station. It's very light. It weighs just a little bit over 6 pounds. I love the compact, the uniqueness of this. But the carrying handle on top, which is very easy to carry this. So this is a 179 watt hours of battery, which is more than enough to charge your electronic devices just in case you're like camping or if you're trying to charge your laptop. You basically only have two major buttons here, one for AC, one for DC. Your AC is 300 watts each with a max surge of 600 watts. So you're able to do a lot of devices. You also have your out, your PD, your power delivery of 60 watts to charge your devices. And your USBs here with the quick charge 3.0, 18 watts. Then this will be your DC out, your barrel plugs. And I love the menu here. The screen is very detailed and gives you all your information here. just in case if you're AC or DC, then I'll turn on. And then I'll give you your DC, your USB, and your power ports. And this will also tell you how much power is going out, and your percentage, and how many hours. So, let's, for example here, plug in this lamp. Let's plug it down here then. And then, there you go. And from there, you'll see the wattage, which is very small, so it's using about 1 watt to power this lamp. And as you can see, it's a really cool device. It's a very nice power station, very small, compact. You carry this with you, throw it in a backpack, throw it in the back of your car, and be able to charge and power anything you want or need. As you can see, that's a very nice, small, compact design. And does come with your DC charger, so you could charge this in your car while you're driving. And then, this does have the power inside, built in. So all you need is to simply plug this in to recharge it with the power port. And this does have the LFP, so this would last you a very long time. The batteries will last forever almost, about 10 years. And if you long press the back, you also get a light. Very nice bright light. And this is where you'll charge it here.